Hi, this is my first time recording a video that I plan to post on the internet. So, some about me: I'm not a major poster or influencer. I've never put anything out about current events before. I am a mother of 4 young children. One of them to be born in April, so that's how young they are. So I have skin in the game as far as the current situation of things in the United States of America. Um, but other than that, I couldn't even be a big researcher because I'm spending most of the time with my kids. But I would listen, and I listened to people who could spend more time researching, and I've listened to a lot of the big names in the digital soldiers for the MAGA movement, and for the 17th letter of the alphabet guys and ladies who post about what that individual is saying. And I have read those posts myself, not all of them because I got it to this kind of late, and have known some of it for about 6 months now. But all that to say, just because you have been in it for 6 months, or you've been in it for a year, or you've been in it for 20 years, it's just as easy to lose hope or hold on to it right now. So these are a few of my thoughts, and just to give people some hope in a hard time. So the lines have gotten kind of silent now. So there's not a lot of people telling you what's going to happen or giving a lot of facts anymore. And it is really easy to have courage when your sergeant is right in your ear telling you, here's what's going to happen, you're doing great, I'll have more information for you tomorrow. When you can watch something every day, when everybody that is posting, it's hard when you're not hearing a lot or seeing a lot happen. That's when it really gets hard, when you're in the foxhole alone. So, now we've passed some really big markers. The vote for the electors on January 6th passed, and it didn't go the way that a lot of people expected or predicted. January 20th, Inauguration Day, came and went, and so it looks kind of like nothing is really happening, and a lot of people didn't want that to happen or didn't think that would happen, myself included. It's crucial now to remember 3 things as far as I can see. The first one is, why did you believe in this to begin with? What was your big why? What kept you in the game? Why did you believe the stuff that you were hearing? That's important because the big why will keep you in it when the going gets hard, and that's where we are now. The second thing I think you need to remember is, where is your hope anchored? Because if it's anchored in the things you can see and in current events and in the situation of your life at the moment, that's tippy hope right there. It's not going to last you out really long, and you'll lose it and gain it, and lose it and gain it, and lose it and gain it. I know that from personal experience because I've put my hope in things for a long time. But I've found that if you put your hope, the one place that I can put my hope, and that's where it's anchored, in my opinion, is in Jesus Christ. He can keep you solid when the going gets rough. And if your hope is in Him, His promises that you won't be disappointed. Not that it won't be hard. Not that bad stuff won't happen. Not that you'll look around you and everything will be perfect. Not that your situation will work out immediately the way that you want it to for the best outcome. But that you can have that kind of peace that's in Him, anchored in Him, even when you look around you and nothing makes sense. And the third thing I think it's crucial to remember now are, what are some of the important repeated refrains of this movement. Things that we kind of heard and went, yeah, that's true, and it's easy to believe them when the going is smooth. But now is the time that they were for. Now is the time that all of those kind of repeated refrains were for. So I'm going to come back to the second point about where to anchor your hope and focus on this one for a minute. Some of the refrains that are repeated, things that you've heard a bunch of times. Number one, stay the line. Staying the line is loads of fun when you know that there are 100,000 guys next to you, and the guy in front of you, is cheering you on. It's rough when you feel like you're by yourself, but I think it was written for now. Stay the line. Stay the line. This is not the end. I don't know. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming next, but it's not over, and everybody needs to stay calm and hold your ground. Hold your ground in the hope where you have it anchored. Okay, the second refrain that I keep coming back to is, it had to be this way. That's just a very interesting phrase, and in a lot of ways it sounded like it had to be this way, and it was hard because there was so much information coming out that people wouldn't believe, and if you told your friends and your family, they didn't believe you. So in some ways that is true, but I think it means a little bit more now that we've passed some markers that nobody knew we could pass and still come out with a good outcome. So think of it in the context of the situation that we're in now. It had to be this way. I think that will become truer, will bear itself out to be truer than we thought it was. The other thing is another repeated refrain of the movement that I think is important for now to remember is that nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. That's a pretty bold claim to make and not make good on it in the end. So this is where you have to decide by yourself, not with everybody else, if you're going to believe that nothing can stop what is coming, or that the whole thing was not true. As for me, I don't think anybody would make that claim repeatedly for 3.5 years if they didn't think that was true and they didn't think they could make good on that promise. I had planned to touch on this later, but I think I will now. I don't think so. First of all, I don't know how things will turn out in the end or what will happen next. No one does. Nobody knows that right now. So it's not just you. Take heart, you're not alone. But I don't think that Mr. Trump, the generals with him, Mr. Pompeo, or General Flynn would have done everything that they did for all these past 4 years and for years before that we didn't know about, and then just walk away from a loss like it was just 4 years of their lives that they kind of spent haphazardly. They took a lot of criticism for the things that they were doing. It was not like they did it for fun. I have not met anyone yet who takes criticism of that level and just does it for 4 years to have a good time. So I think their level of calm speaks to a better end than we had hoped for. Let's go back here. Where was I? So another one is that a repeated refrain that you've probably heard from some of the bigger influencers is that everybody needs to remain calm and not be violent. I cannot underscore that enough. Becoming more panicked doesn't help you. So you need to hold on to find the things that you have held on to bring you hope in the past up till this point, and cling to those things. And don't go out and be violent just because you're mad. I tell my kids this all the time. I think it's a good thing to remember as adults. Just because you're angry, you can't go hit someone or break their stuff. That's not a good venue for your anger. You can find another way to vent it. I told my son today, which I think it struck me. We were doing something together, and I told him things don't always happen the way you want them to happen. And it kind of struck me how much I needed to hear that today. Things don't always happen the way that you want them to happen. And then I thought, okay, if I needed to hear that, I guess somebody else might need to hear it too. You can tell I'm not a professional videographer. I just think the message is so important. And that somebody tell another person, you can make it, have hope. To the point earlier, I wanted to say, I've found, and this is personal example, that there is only one sure anchor for hope, and that is a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I am just constantly amazed. I've been in church all my life, but I wouldn't say that I've had a relationship where I knew that Jesus loved me personally, except for maybe 2 years. So feel like a baby in that respect. But the Bible talks a lot about how things in the earth get shaken. Psalm 46 says that God is our refuge and strength, a very present and well-proved help in trouble. So this is not like a peaceful time that we're talking about in Psalm 46. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains be shaken into the midst of the seas. This is rough. That's not like a walk in the park. This is a hard time. And if you go further on to verse 5, God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her right early at the dawn of the morning. And so I think one of the things that you to remember is that God promises repeatedly that in times where there's a lot of shaking, you can put your hope in Him in the shaking times and not be shaken. The stuff around you is crazy, but you can make it yourself. I love His words to Joshua, which I think a lot of people in the church have heard over and over, but they are worth repeating now. Joshua 1:9, God says to Joshua, who now has to fill Moses' shoes. Moses leads all these people and through into the desert, and God is with them, and there's loads of miracles, and it's clear that Moses has a relationship where he's speaking to God, and God is talking back to him. And now God says, Moses is dead. Pick up where he left off, Joshua. That's tough. And so, but in telling him that, he says, Joshua, have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid. And do not be dismayed. Which I have a side-by-side King James and Amplified, and the Amplified, well, it says the same thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed, which is like falling apart, fearful. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Wherever you go. So even if the worst outcomes for years and years and years with the Lord, to know that He loves you and you are safe and secure in Him. Because the guy in 23, when Jesus is on the cross being crucified there too, looks at the other thief and says, dude, this guy is the one. This guy has done nothing wrong. We deserve what we're getting. And much or little time I had invested with him. How many mistakes, reaching out his arms to you. So if you've never had a relationship with Jesus like that, ask Him. Ask Him in just the simple words that you have to help, to give you that relationship and to help you along in it. Go find the nearest believer you can and grab them and ask them to help you get into the kingdom of God. It's so much easier than everybody has told everybody else for all these years. He loves you. His arms are open. I want to close with a